Hey guys, welcome to Canavision, Illinois, where we talk about business, lifestyle, and health with some of the leaders here in the Illinois cannabis community. If you guys don't know what Canavision is a decentralized broadcasting network where we talk about cannabis. And we are here representing the Illinois market for the Midwest region.
We're your hosts, Hush Chicago. I'm Kay.
And I'm Vanessa.
And today we're going to be discussing the current status of the social equity program in Illinois, including topics such as new licenses, supply and demand issues, and open consumption. And today, seated at the Hush Circle is none other than Mike Malcolm, aka Mike the God.
Yes.
Mike is the founder of We Travel Food, the lifestyle brand, and consultant and founder of WTF Consulting. He's also an adjunct faculty at Olive Harvey College and an equity partner of Kronja Culture. So thank you for being here, Mike.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you
I've
for
been waiting
inviting
for
me.
you to come.
Yeah, I'm so
For
happy
so
to be
long.
The
here.
Hush Circle.
I know, it's so good to see you guys in person again too.
Right.
For
Yes.
sure.
It's so great to be in the presence of people and
Man.
without that fear and worry.
Yeah, for
so-
sure. And this is my first in-person. I was just thinking this is my first in-person interview of the year too. So
yes.
I was just like, wow, it's like it's
Oh,
cool to see.
perfect.
It's a little bit of
Yeah,
a trip, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
super
Kinda
cool.
weird.
That's
Yeah.
awesome. Okay, well let's get started. Let's get in. Tell us a little bit more about yourself.
Yeah, sure.
And just your background and how you were led into the cannabis industry.
Sure, yeah. So I've always had a relationship with cannabis going back, to my young days. I'm 39 now, but like I just had a lot of homies in the hood that sold weed, and I was always a connoisseur, But I'm a real estate agent. I've been working in real estate since I was out of high school, and some of my long-term clients got into the cannabis industry a few years ago. At the time, I was always like, I'm a real estate agent. I love to travel and eat at Chicago restaurants just for fun.
Yeah.
So I was always posting stuff online, and a lot of my friends and family were telling me I should do a blog. And I was like, I'm not a blogger, I like traveling and I like to eat at restaurants, but that's not, I don't like, even to this day, I don't do reviews or anything like that. But with legalization coming in on the horizon in 2018, I saw an opportunity. So I reached out to my friends that I knew were in the cannabis industry, and they welcomed me, had me come out to their facilities out in Denver in 2018. And that's kind of like what gave me my jump start. That company is Viola, which is the largest black-owned cannabis company in the United States. And the founders of Viola, co-founders of Viola are my real estate clients.
Oh,
So that's the
awesome.
connection.
Wow.
Yeah.
All right. Well,
yeah.
shout out to Viola.
Yeah, shout out to Viola for sure. Yeah, they always have been really great, and the people there just always, just open, welcome me to all their facilities. So that's how I learned a lot about everything. I've been in their facilities in 3 different states:
Wow, that's
Colorado,
awesome.
Oregon, and California. I'm sure I'm going to see some more. I was planning on going to see more, but so that's how I kind of got like started, and everything else kind of really snowballed from there. I'm going after licenses here, as you guys know. And I'm not partnered with them, but that was just, they kind of helped me just get my confidence up and just realize that I could do something in the space.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I know you said that you weren't a blogger and you started with food, and you're like in the best city
Yeah.
to do that,
For sure,
right? Because we're
yeah.
such a foodie city here.
Yeah.
So is that what started, like just the starting the food, or was it always food, travel?
Yeah, it was food and travel. Honestly, I was posting on my Instagram. My Instagram was private at the time. I didn't know how to grow, or it wasn't a goal, but I was posting my traveling and food stuff all the time. So again, I'm a realtor with At Properties here in Chicago, which is a really well known.
Yeah.
And I'm cool with the owners too, because they had always followed my Instagram because I was always traveling, and I was like, really traveling and always eating at restaurants. So when I started doing the cannabis stuff, I had to go to people, even including them, and say, hey, this is something that I'm interested in doing. I don't want anything bad to look on the brand, so I'm going to not post as much real estate stuff. I'm going to just post weed, travel, and food, and everything that I post is going to be legal. It's going to be tasteful. But I had to go through that whole thing. And so it was really like, it was the food and the travel that people were kind of already telling me I should do something for. And I just didn't see, I wanted to do something different because there's so many foodies here in Chicago and some people that travel. I wanted to do something, I wanted to be a little bit different, and then legal cannabis I thought was the way.
Yep.
Yeah.
That is a great concept. Before we go more into all of that, kind of stepping back a little bit, how you said you have had a long-term relationship with cannabis, right? When that started up until, or versus now, how has that relationship changed now that like you're in the legal market, you're trying to make moves in this industry?
Yeah, well, that's definitely the biggest difference, that it's legal now. It's legal now. I mean, so much is different. Everything from obviously, I mean, one of my first memories or earliest memories with cannabis I can remember is actually stealing some cannabis from one of my older uncles and trying to roll it up with my friends in the alley, right? But we were so young and dumb, right? We tried to roll it up with leaves that we picked off the tree. Right. Of course, it didn't light. Right.
And you guys weren't high.
Stick. Yeah, like we didn't smoke anything. Right.
Okay.
But we tried. So that's like
wow.
Again. So when I think about let's just say how long my history, and so then moving forward, I think about so many of my friends that were in the industry, the traditional industry for so long, and I think. When I think about the changes, I just think I try to think of it as more like the opportunities. I do see all over the country that there is an effort, obviously, to make it legal, but to have some type of inclusion or aim. There's an aim for diversity. So it just really comes down to being able to execute on that. Right, and to obviously get our piece, right? Because I do have a history with it, and I always have been a fan of the plant. So for me to not be a part of the industry, whether it was illegal or legal, is like it's no question for me. Yeah,
it was just inevitable.
Yeah, it was one of those things where, and again, like back in the days, I sold a little bit of weed. Yeah, but that really wasn't what I was known for. I was honestly known for really being like a connoisseur because of a really close friend of mine, on a pretty large scale. And I used to just come over when new stuff would come in and just say, I like this, I don't like that. This is better than this. He didn't even know how to roll blunts. Seriously. And he is what I'm saying, that's all I'll say. But that was kind of like the relationship. So I've always been a connoisseur. So being seeing these type of opportunities now, buyers exist in this industry, right? So somebody with my skill level and people that I know in our neighborhoods and around our city that have that skill, there's a legitimate job for them right now.
Exactly.
And it's just figuring out how to connect those dots and how to just make sure that, like I said, we all can get a piece of it.
Yeah, exactly. And right now you are kind of like the spokesperson of social equity. Yeah, he has been in.
Swallow real quick.
Yeah,
everywhere.
Everywhere. He's been on Clubhouse. I saw some interviews with state reps.
Chicago Tribune sometimes.
Yeah. His phone is blowing up all the time. Every time there's some changes going on in the state. So, with that being said, when can you, just for those who don't really know too much about social equity, because that has been a term, right? And that's just been thrown out there, but no one really, if you're not really in the industry, right? What is social equity?
Sure. So the state of Illinois defines social equity as people that have been impacted by the war on drugs. Specifically, though, they have narrowed that down to cannabis. They don't mean all drugs. They mean cannabis specific, right? So, and the way that you can qualify, let's say, as social equity is if you have been arrested for cannabis, have an arrest for cannabis, if you live in what the state has determined to be impacted area, or the loophole, or the slave master clause, as some people have called it, is if you have a company that employs 51% of your employees, I should say, live in one of those impacted areas. So that's how social equity has been defined by the state of Illinois.
So also for our audience sake, can you brief us and them on the current status of the social equity program in Illinois?
Yeah, sure. It's fucked, you know. No, joking.
No, exactly.
Joking. No, I was joking. You know, I'm hopeful. You know, so currently we're all waiting. I believe. Shared that with everybody. Yeah, we're all waiting. So, yeah, I'm a social equity applicant. I currently have 10 dispensary license. 10 dispensary applications in that I'm still waiting to hear back on. There are several lawsuits right now pending because of the veteran issue, which is has not been resolved. I don't know, you know, like speaking of what's currently going on, you know, the state just approved this additional 115 licenses that are going to be available. It doesn't really, to me, address the issues with the veteran clause because that's still there for one. And then I feel like the state had a golden opportunity to do the right thing by just subtracting the 2 points and saying like the next license is like, if you're going to do that, then just base it off of that. But no, they lowered the threshold to 85%. So it doesn't matter if you score an A or a B on your test, you still have a chance. So someone who has 10 license applications in, if I score 96% and they score 85%, we have just as much of a chance as winning. And I don't think that's fair at all. You know, I think that's ridiculous. And then I don't think the state also has thought enough about, there was already a strain on the supply here in the state before these additional licenses going out because the already existing operators, the MSOs that already had licenses for medical, they are currently still opening up their locations. And so it was already going to be a strain to add 75 new licenses. Now to add 180, 190, whatever it's going to be, you know, new licenses is with no new supply is crazy. And what the state just did, in my opinion, and I hope this doesn't happen. I hope I don't give anybody any ideas. But what I think is going to happen is they're going to even they just expedited people selling their licenses once they get them. Because so many people, the biggest issue that I saw from the very beginning, besides those veteran points, right? When I read the for those that don't know, so the only way to score 100% of the available points for our application rounds, not only for ours for veterans, by the way, this also goes for for not only ours for dispensary, this also goes for cultivation as well. The only way to score 100% of the available points is if a veteran has 51% ownership and control of the company.
Right, which is crazy. And the thing is, like, they kind of sneaked that in.
They did sneak that in.
They did not make that clear to any of the applicants. So, and
not only that, I mean, it's just not. I hate that. I just spoke for Olive Harvey in a class earlier this week about this, and I hate that I have to say this, but I have nothing against veterans. Right. My father is a Marine. You know, he would like me to say is a Marine. He was a Marine. He is a Marine. You're right. I got a lot of active duty members in my family. I don't have anything against veterans, right?
But is it part of social equity?
It has nothing to do with the reason why that bill and this whole thing was created. So that the fact that 100% of the licenses are going to go to veterans makes no sense. It makes no sense. And because people that, in my opinion, the majority of people that were really in the dope game, and when I say that, I mean cannabis, right? They weren't in the, I don't know if any of them was in the military. Like, I know some of them smoked weed and probably sold a little weed, but you know, and it's nothing. I hate that the state makes it so that people have to even have that argument. To me, I think that's unfair to the veterans. You know, but it's definitely unfair to people who aren't vets, you know, because it just doesn't make any sense. How can I be as well connected as I said I have, and I have partners. I partner with the in-state MSO because I saw in 2019 when they released all the information about applying for licenses, I saw that it was all fucked. I saw everything that happened now 2 years ago. I said, okay, there's going to be no supply because they're putting dispensaries out before they're putting cultivation, craft Craft Grow, and and the only way to score 100% of the points is if you're a veteran. I'm not a veteran.
Yeah.
What can I do?
Right.
Right. I can partner with the in-state MSO, and then that way I don't have to have as much skin in the game. You know, now everything else I kind of worked on my own, but that was kind of just my idea going in, just because I saw. So it just makes me upset when I hear the legislators say things like "we did our best." I'm like,
But did you
knew in
right.
2019 we were going to be right here. So for y'all to say y'all didn't see it coming, like y'all didn't do y'all best.
Right.
I'm sorry. Okay.
No. You pretty much covered every other question that we had on this, so we can just toss this.
Great.
And that's a wrap.
Good. Yes. Thank you. Sorry. No. I mean, you know,
but
I mean,
no.
it's passionate. I mean, this is what's happening right now. And for those of you who don't know about the application, you have to have a perfect score. A perfect score.
Well, for that round,
Right,
for the initial 75, you pretty much were going to have a perfect score.
Yep.
I knew that. Right? I knew that, and I knew that it was going to be impossible for me to get that. But I saw that this MSO was going to be willing to put their money up.
Right.
I was like, okay. And I get to still be the majority owner of the company and majority control, and I work a whole lot of other things. So I'm actually wish we could go really more. I hope that I get the license only so I can help people with my negotiations, because I really feel like, a lot of people feel a lot of ways about giving up equity to their company. Me personally, I don't mind having $1 billion partner. That's mine. Yeah, as long as I'm the majority. You know what I mean? And I think some of the things that people are concerned about and have been burnt for in the past, because I've talked to people who have had cut these deals with these large corporations. The most important thing is your paperwork. Because obviously we don't have time to go into it now, but the deal that was offered to me isn't the deal that I accepted. And me being a realtor and negotiating for a living for the past 10 years, I was patient, and I knew how, I knew what I wanted, and I feel good about what I got. But I just think that I'm hoping that a couple things. Number one, we still are very early in this, so we'll see what happens. Like, it all looks crazy right now, but we'll know. We will have an opportunity to. Somebody's got an opportunity to get these licenses, right? And eventually, what I want to be able to do is to just help people do whatever they think is best for them. Because, at some point, I don't think even people selling their licenses is necessarily a bad thing. I just wonder who they're going to sell it to.
Right.
That's more my concern, because everybody has the right. Like, if you want a license and you want to sell it, like, you should have the right to do that as well. It's just like, who are you selling it to? Because we want to make sure that, that we have some type of culture, let's say, in the industry, and have some cool stuff going on, and it's not so lame like it is right now.
Right.
And the only way they're going to do that is if they get more diversity in there.
Exactly. Yeah. So going back, I'm like, let's see, what else can we talk about? No, but can you share some of the stories that you've publicly shared before, kind of like horror stories with working with some of these MSOs, and maybe some things for people to avoid? Like you said, you want to help people make better decisions when it comes to who to partner with, and you don't have to drop names, but just share an experience or two.
Sure. Yeah. It all goes back to doing your making sure that your paperwork is solid. I had a company that reached out to me about a brand ambassadorship, and I like to say this has a happy ending. Okay, let me say that. Has a happy ending, right?
Okay.
Because this company approached me. They tell me they wanted me to be a brand ambassador for them.
Right.
Right. This was in the summer of 2019. They offered me free products, free cannabis, because and I said, well, I don't want free weed. I want to get paid. Right. And they said, well, we can't pay you because this is a medical market. It's not. And next year when we have an adult use market, then we can move our marketing dollars around. We can pay you. And I said, well, since you can't pay me cash, why don't you help me write my applications for me? So, what I'm saying? So that didn't,
negotiation right
yeah,
there.
right. But they said yes to that. And that's what gave me the idea to even go after licenses. Because at that time last year, I wasn't even planning to go after licenses. I saw the paperwork come out. Well, but probably by the time the paperwork came out, I was kind of thinking about it. But I was actually planning on joining other people's teams and just helping them. But once that company reached out to me and asked me to be a brand ambassador for them and told me that they would, because they couldn't pay me in cash, that they would write my application for me, that gave me, again, the confidence to take that to another company, right? So that company that initially said that they were going to help me write my application and I was going to be a brand ambassador for them, they didn't write my application, but they proceeded to use the images that we took that were only supposed to be for social media.
Yeah.
And they were still supposed to give me some weed for it.
You never got it?
I never even got the weed. I never got the weed. And they proceeded to use my image not just on social media but everywhere.
I remember.
Everywhere.
I remember
Everywhere.
seeing your. I was like, what?
I was at Lyrical Lemonade, but
Yeah.
my banner was. I wasn't. They didn't even give me an invite.
I saw you at the cannabis business convention.
Yeah, They had a full size cutout of me in their dispensary.
That's crazy. And they couldn't even
Yo,
give
it was
you anything.
crazy. They didn't give me anything for that.
Was there
And then
a quote too?
I was just about to say, and then they misused my quote. I said they had the best cannabis in the world or some shit. Like, yo, it was too much. I'm like, yo. But at the time, but this was the thing. At the time, when I first saw that they were doing that, I was still negotiating with them. And they were still promising me that they were going to do everything. They didn't. Right. And at some point in time, thank God for my homegirl, Christina Cologne. I don't know if the guys know Christina. She's with Chicago Normal, Mama Verde.
Okay.
Yeah. So Christina, at the time, she was working with Columbia Care. Am I saying her name? Columbia Care. Columbia Care. And she was like, man, Columbia Care, they would love to talk to you about doing something. And so I approached them. And I told them and they were like, well, we'll do the deal with you. And so I ended up doing the deal with Columbia Care. But, and then I sent a cease and desist letter to the other company and threatened to sue the shit out of them if they, didn't take everything down, which they did.
Okay.
Yeah. So, it was one of those things. It was a learning lesson.
Yeah.
People was like, oh yeah, they fucked you over. I won't go that far. They wasted a little bit of time. I almost feel like maybe I could have negotiated a little bit better deal if I had more of a head start with the company I ended up being up with. But I think more than anything, I'm glad that happened. I'm glad that it happened with something so small. I'm glad that I still got my licenses done. I was trying to negotiate a deal to get one application done with them. I got 10 with Columbia Care. Like, it worked out for the best. But at the end of the day, it just let me know that, again, have your paperwork. Start with the paperwork.
Yeah.
I don't do anything without paperwork, and it's to the point where a lot of times I don't do anything. Well, no, I'm not gonna say that. You can edit that part. I'm not gonna say that. Never mind. No, but no, sometimes because I just feel like somebody reached out to me to do something recently, and naturally I was like, oh yeah, how much? I'm like, is there a budget or anything? And they were like, no, there isn't. And I was like, oh well, I'll do it anyway. And then I didn't hear anything, but I just, it wasn't any of. No offense, but I had just talked to somebody earlier about doing something, speaking to somebody, and they asked me what my fee was. I told them my fee, and they were like, "Oh, I'll pay that out of my pocket." And I was like, "What?" Anyway, you could please cut all this. No, I'm joking. You have to. No, but that's the other thing, right? Like, if you really, I'm not talking to the scammers now. I'm looking to the camera. I'm not talking to the scammers if you're the scammer, right? What I'm talking to the people who really have a platform, who really have some knowledge. If you have a way that you can help people, you guys have real products out there, you have real services that you offer, then ask for the money that you deserve as well. I think that's the other part with this being a somewhat new industry coming into the legal realm. A lot of people that have ancillary businesses in the industry are a little bit skittish about what they can charge because we're not necessarily, looked at. There's still a stigma involved in some ways, unless you're big corporate cannabis, and even some of them, they get turned down for a lot of stuff too. I know this to be true. I think that people, again, need to have that confidence in themselves and in their products to ask for what they think they're worth, and to, again, give the services that quality service that they offer, put the same amount of energy into it as you would do anything else. Like I look at I would treat I treat my cannabis clients the same way I treat my real estate clients. You know, I give them all the attention and the care in the world that I do the same type of service. I don't think any less of it because I'm now dealing with cannabis. But I think that us people that are operators in the industry, that we have the right to demand our worth from these larger companies. That's one reason I like working with some of the bigger companies, because I know they have the budgets,
Right.
and I don't have to feel any type of way about asking for what I know I'm worth. Right? I feel a little bit less. I don't want to charge people. I want to charge people who I know are trying to get in. But these large companies that are
Right.
These publicly listed companies or whatever I'm trying to say,
They
they
the
have
resources, yeah.
they have resources. Yes.
And speaking of making good use of your time, I know you created a course, right? So
Yeah.
can you tell us more about that?
Sure, yeah. So Olive Harvey reached out to me and asked me to create a syllabus and a course for cannabis marketing and branding. And so I did that, and I taught it already in the spring. And so they asked me to come back and teach again in the summer and the fall. So it is a 2-day course. The first class starts July 10th. I believe it's July 10th and July 17th. It's a 2-hour class. And it's going to be really cool. I'm going to go into the history of cannabis marketing, how it was originally like demonized, and like, a lot of the things, the terms used like marijuana, how it's a racist term and where all that stuff comes from. I dig a little bit into that stuff because I think that a lot of that stuff is really important.
Right.
I think that's some of the most important thing when it comes to this industry is I think people who want to be participate in it need to be able to educate. And that only goes for the operators in there, but that also goes for the media that covers it, right? You need to be able to educate your audience on
Absolutely.
terpenes or why THC isn't so important, because the policy gets made off of these misunderstandings. You know what I'm saying? And like here in Illinois, we have a THC tax. If the THC is above a certain number, then you got to pay a whole different price. It doesn't even make sense.
Yeah.
And they don't even know why they have it as that number. They just think that THC is all that matters. So, I think that, a lot of that comes down from the marketing. We don't think of it as marketing, but the marketing, whatever you hear about cannabis plants, I think that's very important. And so, and then I think brands, IP is a very powerful vehicle for people that want to get into the industry. And I talk to people about ways that they can get into the dispensaries without actually being operators. Like, you don't need a license to sell products in dispensaries. And, owning licenses like Hush, you guys have your jewelry, you guys are able to sell in dispensaries. I have Cranja Culture, our rolling trays are available in dispensaries across the country. And so, I think that people just need to understand, like, there's more than one way to get in.
Right, exactly. That's so awesome. So when is that happening? What days of the week?
The first class starts, it's Saturdays.
Okay.
Saturday mornings. I think it's from 10 a.m. to 12.
Okay.
And it is a 2-hour class, and it's July 10th.
And it's in person or virtual?
It's virtual.
Okay.
July 10th and July 17th. That's the first class.
So people are still able to sign up.
You can. You can go to oliveharvey.com. Olive Harvey College.
Just Google search.
Yeah, Olive Harvey. oliveharveycollege.com. I think that's what it is.
Find Mike on Instagram. It has
Yeah.
Find Mike G, the guy on Instagram.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Well, we have so much to talk to you about, so
Yeah.
you're definitely going to have to come
Yeah.
back soon. But I think one of the last questions is, what have you been doing while waiting for the license, and what can you, what kind of advice could you give to other social equity applicants who might not have been able to progressively move forward during this whole wait, had setbacks or just don't really know what to do right now?
Yeah, I would say it really depends on what you want to do in the industry. Me personally, I just wanted to continue to build my brand. So that's some of the things that I've been working on, both my We Travel Food brand and just my personal brand. And I think that's really what's most important. And I think that, doing what we're doing right now, networking, communicating with each other, encouraging each other, I think that's really important. So many people and other industries, even I'm not even gonna put this on cannabis, are so much about competitive and competing with each other. I think the cannabis community has always existed, and so now that we have the opportunity to make some money legally, I think it's another opportunity to show that it doesn't have to be what so many people think of it is, and we can actually work together. So that's some of the things that I want to do. One of the reasons why I wanted to teach the class, because I wanted to share some information, and I didn't want to, like I said, I don't want to have to charge people for giving them ideas of how they can use what they already have to get in. And I think that's the most important thing. Like, people just have to look for the angles. So that's some of the things that I've been working on. I am working with the MSO. I'm not going to announce it yet.
Okay.
Till they cut the other check. But I'm working with the MSO right now because I think that supply is obviously going to be an issue here.
Yes.
But it is infuriating to me that even if I were to get everything that I'm looking for, right, because I only apply for dispensaries here in Illinois, I'm just getting a license to sell their product, right? And I want to cut in on the other side, whether I have a grow or not. So I think that there are some ways that we can get that done. And so that's what I'm working hard towards right now, not only for myself, but for other people in our industry here in Illinois.
Okay.
Nice.
Yeah.
Well, we'll be asking you some other questions outside of this.
Yeah, for sure.
We'll keep that on the hush.
Yeah, for
record.
sure. Ooh, hush.
Okay, on the hush.
See what she did there?
Oh my gosh. Well, thank you so much.
Okay, thank
Mike,
you.
for
And just
joining
want to
us.
say, please keep this. I'm so proud of you guys. So I said this before the cameras go. I'm so proud to
Yeah.
see you guys' growth and good, and
Thank
just happy to
you.
be with you guys again.
Thank you
Thank
so
you.
much.
We appreciate you.
Yeah. So let everyone know in the audience what you have going on right now and how they can find you.
Yeah, you could just find me at Mike G the God, Mike G DAGOD on Instagram, or Michael Malcolm everywhere else. I just use my regular name on all of the social media, and my website is wetravelfood.com. And you can find everything else there. I think so.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Seriously, just Google him.
Yeah.
You'll
Yeah,
see
you
him
can-
all these
Yeah,
On every platform.
Yeah.
on
yeah.
articles. You'll
It'll
find
be
him.
easy to
Yeah.
find him. Well, thank you
I
again,
appreciate
Mike.
that.
Yeah.
No, thank you guys.
Thank you guys for tuning into our show. Catch our next episode at Canavision.il. We want to give a big shout out to Canavision Global, Canavision Midwest, and our media crew, High Key Creative. So
Yes.
And shout out to everybody at Canavision. Them's all the homies.
Yes. Thank
Yes.
you guys.
make sure you follow us at Hush Chicago, and we'll see you guys soon.